It's been a couple weeks and we're getting a little bored, so time to hook up to the travel trailer and take off for another adventure. On this edition of What Doin', we're headed east of the mountains to Potholes State Park. It's about 170 miles and about 4-hour drive time, so we should be there just in time to set up, have some dinner, and enjoy a beautiful sunset. We left on a Sunday, and knowing that we were going to go over I-90, we were sort of dreading the trip a little bit. It actually wasn't too bad, except for a couple of small slowdowns, and it's always got to have a car fire if we're going by. Westbound traffic was a mess, but eastbound, nobody was going with us. We finally made it to the campground, we got set up, had dinner, and let me tell you, the sunsets are beautiful. The views across the water were amazing, even though the no-see-ums were out in force. This shy little lady stopped by to see us when we first got in. Of course, she was back the next morning demanding breakfast. Our day trip to Coulee Dam began with a stop at Lake Lenore Caves for a short hike. Lake Lenore and the caves were formed at the melting of the last ice age. Floods created coulees out of the solid basalt, and then freezing and thawing enlarged the caves over thousands of years. About 5,000 years ago, native people began using them as temporary shelters in the summer, gathering plants and hunting. Don't let the stairs at the beginning of the hike intimidate you. It's actually a pretty easy hike. This is the only steep part of the trail. The rest of it is pretty level, good footing, and a nice walk. Of course, for the more adventurous, if you don't like the steps, you can always go vertical and climb up the rock face.
How you doing, love?
At least it's a little cooler in here. It's still warm though.
Are you wishing you were like 5'2"?
Or less. The views from this 1.2 mile, 173 foot elevation gain hike make it well worth your time to stop and enjoy. The next stop on the day trip is just 10 miles up the road at Dry Falls. What was once the world's largest waterfall was created at the end of the last ice age. Actually began 20 miles south, and it created the lower Grand Coulee, but has been eroded to the point you see today. It's windy out there. If you have a hat, it's best to have someone help you out with holding it on. As you drive the 36 miles north to Coulee Dam, you'll be treated to some of the most amazing views in the state. We found the Fusion Cafe in Electric City was a fantastic place to stop for lunch. And then we arrived at the Coulee Dam. This thing is amazing. At 1 mile long, 550 feet high, and 500 feet thick, this dam weighs 48 million pounds and it's the largest producer of hydroelectric power in the United States. With its 3 power plants, the largest being fed by 6 40-foot diameter tubes passing over 1.5 million gallons of water per second, powering approximately 4.2 million homes in the Pacific Northwest. The laser light show at about 10 o'clock at night is phenomenal to watch if you're there after sunset. Here's another shy creature we met on our way out from the dam back to the potholes.
What you got, babe?
If you're going to be stuck behind the pilot car, it might as well be a nice drive. Sometimes the scenery is so beautiful it's just hard to describe. But here's one. Holler when you see the monkey. Steamboat Rock State Park sits at the north end of Banks Lake. It takes a Discover Pass. It's great for hiking, biking, water sports, and horse riding. Once again, we found fire on our travels. This one looked like it started out fairly small, but by the time we got closer up to it, it spread across the entire valley floor. If you feel like sticking a little closer to the campground, pick any one of the numerous potholes that have boat ramps. Try a little fishing. Even though you can see them in the water, they're hard to catch. Even harder when the pelicans are overhead looking for them too. I knew I was fishing in the right spot, but he was having much better luck than I was. If the fishing isn't working, it's still a great place to throw the kayak in and do a little paddling around on the water. Or if you're lucky enough to have a good brother-in-law, you do the kayak and the fishing at the same time, and you have the kayak spot to fish for you. It didn't help. We had fantastic sunsets every night we were there. The weather was just about perfect, and the park was a lot quieter than I remembered it being as a kid. But like all good things, every trip has to come to an end. With all the stuff that we did, we packed up all our things, and we had to head for home. We had a little bit of time to kill on the way home, so we took Highway 26 to I-90 Advantage and then crossed the Columbia River. We were treated to views of both Mount Adams and Mount Rainier in the same spot. But how do you beat Highway 12 over White Pass when you get views of Mount Rainier like this? We stopped in Packwood at the Packwood Brewing Company. If you get through the area, this place is amazing. The food was outstanding and the beers were even better. We talked to the bartender who said they had opened up just before the pandemic hit. With all the changing regulations that they were able to keep up with, they were lucky enough to stay open and thrive. With the camping crowd in the summer, the skiers in the winter, I think this place will be around for a long time. Our final stop of the day came as a little surprise. Right across the street is the Packwood Mercantile. It's not some place you would seek out, and we almost walked right by it, but I'm glad we went in. They had everything from coffee to knickknacks to knives to t-shirts to clothing to things to put in your garden. And if you do the things the way we do, you'll support the local economy. If you stop in, check out some of their wares, and don't forget to say hi to Deacon. Another successful adventure is in the books, and we're ready for the next one.